What's going on, guys? It's me, Dreamliner Fan HT here, and today we have another model plane unboxing video for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for today's video. Let's go over this box. So as you can see, here is the box right here. This came from the Texan Airplane Store, and I think it's been a while since I last ordered something from the Texan Airplane Store. Nowadays, I just only order from that store or that retailer once a year because I think it has to do with Nicholas, who is the owner of the store, having to do his private pilot studies and all various studies he's doing right now. So I think before I used to order models, a lot of models from him, somewhere in 2023, and I think nowadays it's just once a year, which I think is what it is because again, he might be doing some things that are studying, he's been studying for the past few years. I think that's the reason why I don't really order from him that much. And I think another second thing is it kind of takes a bit before the model gets before the model is shipped to somebody's house, because once I ordered this model, I think it took a couple of weeks before that model in particular, this one in the box, goes directly to my house. And all I can say is it is what it is. I still think Texan Airplane Store is an okay retailer to get some models, but nowadays I think just recently some collectors would say don't recommend buying from the Texan Airplane Store, and I understand what they say. Again, Nicholas might be busy with his private pilot stuff, but in addition to that, I think the shipping is gonna take a bit before it actually gets sent out to the the buyer basically. So for the meantime, I think this could be my last purchase from the Texan Airplane Store, and we'll see what the future holds for that retailer, depending on how much Nicholas gets everything done with his studies. But I do hope they can add some other people to run the store, so that way their shippings can be a lot more faster. But again, it's what it is. I still like what Nicholas does. I think he should focus more on his studies and have some people, other people work for him in a way, run the retail store while he's doing his studies. I think that's one thing that he could have done. But I do have an exciting model here from a new retailer. Now I did buy this, I do have a model out of this retailer before, but this will be the first time this model manufacturer, I should have said manufacturer in a way, but this will be the first appearance from this new model manufacturer. So let's get started by opening the box. And yeah, now this is one of those it's not really exactly that does but I think in a way there's it's a retailer that does these 3D model aircrafts, which I think, because I've been just recently from 2024 and 2025, we've been seeing some model within the model plane community, we've been seeing some 3D printed designs from GSCs to aircrafts, and this manufacturer was able to do some these 3D printed regional airplanes that are that's pretty much impossible for other manufacturers to do. So I was able to snag one of these bad boys. So without being said, let me open up the box. Well, not really open up the box, but as I open up the flaps, as you can see, this is the Airlines International 2026 flyer in Denver, Colorado, from June 24th to the 27th of 2026. So yeah, really interesting on how they're able to provide this flyer. It's located at the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel Denver Airport at Quebec Street, and technically speaking, it is a 45-minute drive from Denver International Airport, but I will go into a video of this convention, or this Airliners convention, and provide some details about it. But who knows if I'll be attending this convention or not. But another factor for that is there is a upcoming, another aviation event that's going to be happening in July. I'll go over further details on that event as well. But for the meantime, I'll just keep this Airlines International flyer right here. Now, I don't want to just want to make sure that I have everything. Okay, just make sure, because they're showing my billing address and all that stuff, so I better prevent showing that to you guys, otherwise it'll give away my address. But as we take a look at the box right here, let me take out some bubble wrap. There is the box in question, and as I take her out, here it is. So right here we have this 3D design deck, 1/400 scale SkyWest Airlines Bombardier CRJ-200 in the house livery. This is a retailer or like a model manufacturer that has been gaining some popularity since the start of the year, and I thought, hey, why not? Because like they've been releasing some really cool 3D printed model aircraft of regional planes, and I just thought, hey, you know what? Why not get something out of them? So here it is, the 3D design deck, SkyWest CR2 house livery. So looking forward to getting this looking forward to unboxing this model. This could technically, well, I have some 3D printed planes already, but this could be my first. This could be like technically the first time a 3D printed airplane is gonna be featured in one of my videos. So I'm just super excited. Kind of like a new chapter for me for like model collecting, as I got my first 3D printed. Well, technically, first 3D printed as of this upload. This is my first 3D printed model airplane in my collection. So looking forward to unboxing this. So with that being said, let's get into the review. Alright, and here we go with the unboxing of the 3D design deck, 1/400 scale SkyWest Airlines Bombardier CRJ-200 in the house livery. Super excited to add this in my collection. This could technically be my first 3D printed model ever mentioned on my video. So I did purchase some 3D design deck models in the past, but this is the first time 3D design deck will be featured on one of my videos. So this model came out in the June 2025 releases of 3D design deck, and I think they started to gain some popularity in like that early 2025 range, like the earlier this year. So they have some really cool details on like 3D design models, and these are made out of resin, unlike diecast metal. So it's really unique. But what's really cool about 3D design deck is like even for a tiny little CRJ-200, there is some aerial details and like all the various aspects that makes this model really detailed. So looking forward to getting this model, or unboxing this model in that case. And let's get started with the box review. So you got the 3D design deck logo right there, you got the SkyWest logo, you got the CRJ-200 tiles right there, you got the CGI image of the plane, handmade in Canada, so they are based in Canada, 1/400 scale, and this is kind of like a simple 3D design deck box design. And what I do like, it shows model 50, I think 53 or 57 out of 120. So this particular model is the 57th or 53rd model produced out of 120 total. So that's really unique on how 3D design deck are characterizing each model to have like a certain amount of like, you know, models in stock. So like for instance, like this model is like it's model 57 or 53. I think that's like either a 57, but it kind of looks like a 53 out of 120 total produced. So that's really cool on how 3D design deck designs their boxes. The bottom and the top box doesn't really show anything, but here is the right side of the box. You got the aircraft registration, November 9800 Sierra Whiskey, and the item number of this model is 3D Delta 00903. Backside doesn't really show anything much other than this sentence that says, this model is 3D printed and handmade in Canada, warning small parts not intended for children under 14. And I think the right side of the box is kind of good. Yeah, right side of the box is the same. So that's it for the box review, but we're gonna unbox some models. So we're gonna unbox this model, and what I do like about these 3D design models, it's kind of similar to what JC Wings would do. So you would just like, because like this is basically the cover of the box. When you take this out, this is the actual box. So the actual box doesn't really show anything, but the model is inside. So let me just take out the top, and you got some styrofoam. I think that's styrofoam. But as I take this out, there she is. Wow. And take a look at that. It kind of shifted a bit in the box, but as I take it out of the box like so, and wow. Oh my god. That honestly is, wow. Here it is, the SkyWest Airlines Bombardier CRJ-200 in the house livery. Look at that, it got some bottom antennas too. That looks incredible, to be honest. So once again, this model is made out of resin, and for this amount of detail for a 3D printed aircraft for a CR2, that is incredible. Didn't mean to drop it, but either way, this is not die-cast metal, so. But other than that, this is actually really cool. Really nice to have this in my collection. And overall, I think the CR2, because like I would sometimes get these in Sacramento International. So it's really nice to finally have a house livery SkyWest CR2 in my collection. And just take a look at that. Wow, that's incredible details from 3D design deck. So looking forward to using this model in some of my airport updates. And overall, this is a job well done from 3D design deck. So yeah, look at that. It just looks absolutely really cool. And here's the 3D design deck 1/400 scale SkyWest Airlines Bombardier CRJ-200 in the house livery. This is a phenomenal job from 3D design deck, and I'm really glad to have it, well, technically speaking, feature this product at the first time on my YouTube videos. So I'm just looking forward to see how this model turns out as I do a review on the model. Now, because this is a tiny little CRJ-200, I don't think I need to go into like full in-depth closer to the aircraft. So let's get started here with the cockpit windows right there, which I think that is like nearly accurate representation of the cockpit windows. And then you got the SkyWest Airlines, or just the SkyWest tiles right there. You got the nose landing gear right there. You can't see like the nose landing gear door, but I think it's a tiny model, like a tiny CR2, so makes sense. You got the radome right there. There might be a little features, like little details right there, like there's some pitot tubes, there's some stack ports, but this is, again, like a very tiny model. But considering how this is a very tiny aircraft in 1/400 scale, the details are just spot on this model. You got the boarding door right there, the big boarding door on the CR2, which is big on this side. You also got some top details right there. There's your antenna, which it's really cool to actually see a antenna on the CRJ-200 in 1/400 scale, especially when it's like accurate representation in size. So it's not like those Gemini Jets ones where it's like, you know, they're big and kind of like improportional. 3D design deck really did a good job on the sizing of the antennas on this aircraft. So great work, 3D design deck on that. There's your emergency exit door. You also got some wing details. This is a cantilever wing. As you can see, there's some like nutting placed there. And then there's your winglet, excuse me, the blue winglet. And let me see if I can try to like give you guys like a, so here's like, yeah, there's some really nice details. You can see some aileron details, flap slat details, and all your spoilers as well. So I like on how 3D design deck was able to replicate on that. And yeah, this aircraft really is lightweight. Like, it's not like die-cast. Again, this is not die-cast model. This is full-on resin. So it's really cool on how these models are designed like that. You also got your windows right there, as per usual with the CR2 windows. You also got your US flag and the aircraft registration, November 980 Sierra Whiskey. There's your engines, and I couldn't recall if they're like CF-34 engines, similar to like what all CRJ-200s, like CRJ planes operate. But I'd assume those are the CF-34 engines that this aircraft's powered. If I'm incorrect on that one, then I'll probably like pull up a text. And then here is the backside of the empennage of the plane. Now, the blue, I mean, like, again, this is not like die cast, this is not painted or anything, this is just like resin blue, so the color may appear different. Like, currently, I think I'm seeing it's like a purple shade, while it should be like a blue shade, but other than that, I think it may appear different whenever, like, you know, in certain lighting situations, but still, I think this is okay. I mean, they're like a 3D design, like, this is 3D printed once again, so that's really interesting on how the color looks like that. And then you got the tail of the CRJ-200 with the SkyWest Airlines logo, or just SkyWest, and then you got the horizontal stabilizers, which represents the aircraft's T-tail. Now, apparently, I was like inspecting the model a little more, and then I accidentally like dropped it, and then this part of the tail section ended up coming off. Which, I mean, like, it's, again, I was sick of it. It's like, because it's lightweight, it's like, oh, it must be like, it's lightweight, but then it just suddenly slipped off on my hands. But thankfully, I was able to repair it. And yeah, it kind of looks good as new. You can see that, like, line indentation that it ended up, like, separating from the model. But I was able to glue it back on. And yeah, it looks much nicer. And yeah, I mean, it happens. But this is literally the first time handling a 3D printed aircraft. So, especially for this size. So, it's gonna be interesting to, like, you know, look through this. Anyways, you got your front area of the aircraft right there. I don't think I see any much details on like the engines since it's 3D printed. But yeah, there's are the fan blades. I mean, it's what it is. It's still okay, though. You also got some very nice like upper details right there. You got like all the various like beacons, printed details, some details right there. And then you also got the emergency exit hatch of the cockpit area right there. And the cockpit windows are also printed very nicely as well. And as I move on to like the starboard section of the plane, you got your tiny R door right there, a tiny door compared to like the one on the left. And of course, everything is pretty much the same. And I do want to mention that the cargo doors are on the right side of the aircraft, on the port side of the aircraft, which is right there. They're not present in the starboard section of the plane because like most CRJs are designed to have that kind of feature. Anyways, as I move on to the top view, I'm just gonna do this in one video. So here is the top view once again. So yeah, you can see all like the various details. Moving on to the bottom, no stand holes since it's reasonable for a tiny little aircraft, but you can see it's this is just one piece for the wings, which it kind of reminds me of like the old Gemini Jets molds. And I also like the fact that there's also bottom antennas as well. So you can see a bottom antenna right there, but you also got your other extra printed details at the bottom, or just like label details. Now as I like try to position the front of the aircraft, so let me hold it on the wings. So here is the front of the aircraft right there, also looking very nice. I do love the ground flex configuration on the CRJ's wings, which that's kind of like really identical to like what it is in real life. And of course, as I move on to the back, let me just like slowly do this. Here is the back side of the model right there. So overall, great work 3D design deck for this particular aircraft. I really love their products right there. I'm kind of looking forward on getting some more. Like I heard they're going to be doing WestJet Q400, like a WestJet Q400 and some other turboprop aircraft. And they're also doing some GA aircraft like BizJets and all that. So really glad to have my, well, technically speaking, this is my second 3D design deck model, but I do have a FAA Challenger that I got from Airlines International. But this is going to be the first time I'll be featuring 3D design deck on my YouTube video. So looking forward to getting more products for them. And yeah, this is just really phenomenal job from 3D design deck. So really glad to have it. And with that being said, let's move on to the conclusion of this video. So overall, I'm impressed on the products 3D design deck has to offer. All like the various details, and despite the fact that it is 3D printed in 1/400 scale, and like they also added in these details too, it just really changes like the viewing aspect of the 1/400 scale collecting land. And yeah, like really glad to see 3D design deck coming into the 1/400 market and designing models like this. It does give some collectors like new perspectives on like getting some models. Like I know like Gemini Jets has a CRJ-200 mold, but for 3D design deck, although it's 3D printed and made out of resin, they add some like details, really good details, and they almost made the mold almost similar to what NG would do if they were to do a CRJ-200 in 1/4 scale, which technically I don't think that's gonna happen, but still, this is a phenomenal job from 3D design deck. And yeah, just looking forward to getting more products with them. And yeah, like real overall satisfied with my first, well technically quote unquote second 3D design deck model, but first to feature on my YouTube videos. So looking forward to getting more 3D design deck models in the future, and let's see what 3D design deck goes from there as we move on to like more releases from like 2025 and 2026. So keep up the good work 3D design deck, and I'm looking forward to purchasing one of your models again. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss a new upload like this anytime soon. And if you want to see more of my model playing content, then you can click on that playlist, and it shows you all the model playing content I do from unboxings, reviews, and a whole lot more. So, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night.